Okay, it's 2025, new year, new me. It's time to lock in and improve your Mercy. A new year always sparks new goals and new challenges that you can set upon yourself, which can be personal ones to improve yourself, as well as looking at gaming ones too. If you're struggling for ideas for improving your Mercy gameplay, then look no further, as today we're going to be looking at some goals that you can put into place for 2025, or maybe spark some ideas of your own goals for another character. Whatever your goal is, just make sure it's a fun one for a character that you wish to play. I'll also be doing my own guides going in depth about the topics that I cover throughout the year, so I don't know, I guess subscribe, I guess. This video won't be a guide as such, but rather be ideas for guides that you can go and look up or look out for when I go and make them later in the year. One key thing I want to touch on before I do start is the concept of smart targets, which, don't click off yet, by the way, I'm not going to teach you a lesson here, but trust me, it's going to be much better for you to set a target and you actually kind of achieve it, rather than you just saying, oh, I want to improve my damage boost, which is very kind of vague. When setting your own goals, instead use smart targets as a layout to fully understand what it is you want to achieve. I'll just do a quick little example along with basically what each one stands for. S stands for specific. Don't just say, oh, I want to improve my damage boost. Do you want to make it your default beam? Do you want to strive for a specific number? Do you want to make sure that you're damage boosting every single ability that you can? This is where you can make it specific and relatable to yourself and making the goal a little bit more personal. M stands for measurable, and this is how you can track if you're meeting your goal. You could do this through stat tracking for more numerical goals, as well as watching back your own replays and observing from time to time to see how you've basically achieved your progress towards the goal. A is for achievable, and it's making sure that it's specific for your rank. For example, if you're in silver, you're not going to be setting yourself a goal of getting about 2k damage boost per 10, because no offense, it ain't going to happen, okay? Make sure you can actually achieve it in the near future, but make sure it's challenging too. R is for realistic, which I guess relates back to the last point too. It's just make sure that you can realistically achieve this with your current skill level. And then finally, T is for time, giving yourself time for essentially you want to achieve your target, whether it be in 3 months' time, 6 months' time, whatever it is. This just depends on how much you play the game, as well as how much you can dedicate into, playing Overwatch essentially. But just make sure that you're making yourself a time of when you want that goal to be completed. If you can make at least one smart target for your goal, it will make your goal so much more achievable for yourself. And bear in mind as well, you don't even need to do this for Overwatch. I use this all the time IRL to make sure that I actually achieve what I set out to do. Now with that out of the way, let's have a look at some main goals that you can have a look at. Damage boost is one of the main ones I see come up when a lot of people ask me questions, specifically for lower ranked Mercies who struggle to push it. So maybe you want your goal to be how you can improve your damage boost, and depending on your rank will depend on what goal that you will want. Do you see yourself getting a lot more healing beam compared to damage boost every single game? At the moment, you should try and aim for about 50-50, but I know obviously Mercy isn't the best spot right now, and obviously, it really does depend on the team comp that you've got and everything. But it just can be as simple as making sure that your blue beam is your default beam rather than your healing beam to ensure you're getting out some key damage boosts at the beginning of the team fights. You could do this even in low ranks because damage boost will still make a slight difference. Or it could be when people are full HP or very, very close to, you can switch to your blue beam to get those crucial extra little bit of damage boost out. This bit of damage boost can be the difference between someone getting picked off or winning a team fight or not. So try to push it when people are pretty much nearly full HP. Or maybe you want to make sure that you're pushing damage boost onto everything you possibly can. This is the best way to get kind of value out of Mercy rather than just having your blue beam on one person. Try to ult track and see what you can damage boost on your team, so it means that you can be ready for it. I do have a full series up to Life Weaver on my TikTok for everything that can be damage boosted, which I will be updating this year on my TikTok as well as my YouTube, so go and check that out there as some of them are actually really, really interesting. All in all, there is a lot to kind of focus on with damage boost, so pick just one for now and focus on that for a while. For lower ranked players, I'd recommend the first 2 points and get those kind of nailed down, whereas for higher ranks, I recommend the latter, so you can focus on getting the most out of your damage boost to increase your beam usefulness and uptime. For movement and positioning, I've decided to put these two together as they kind of fit hand in hand. If you have good positioning, then you have good movement and vice versa. However, if you're noticing that you're getting caught out a lot or you're dying more than you should, it might be best to start off with this goal. Starting with positioning, it's making sure that you're in a space where you are as safe as possible from the enemy team, as well as making sure you have access to many other members on your team as possible. You'll hear me a lot in my VODs say, play one step back, where essentially you're playing one position back from where your teammate is, keeping a safe distance as well as being with whoever you need to be beaming essentially. For higher positioning, is looking at what the enemy team has to amend your own positioning. For example, if the enemy team has a Junkrat, it's making sure that you do not trap yourself in small rooms. For Tracer, it's about playing distance and playing high grounds as much as possible to force the Tracers to come up to you. It's all about adapting your playstyle depending on what the enemy team comp has. Once you have good positioning, your movements will come too. Movement is different for everyone, so my best tip for this if you wish to improve is literally just to practice. Some Mercy parkours are great for this and for practicing different techs. Just focus on the ones that you'll be using in-game, like for example wall bounces, GA cancels, as well as some crouch GAs, which can be really useful and also depends on the difficulty of the parkour. I'll leave a link in the description of the Discord where it has them all, so it means you can pick and choose depending on what Mercy level you feel like you're at. Use them to learn spots in different maps as well as also just to have some fun. Oh, and stop super jump resin. Sorry. I will do a full video on this, but it's one of my biggest pet peeves is people trying to use the super jump res for the wrong reason, as it's probably one of the reasons you are dying so much. But once you get the movements and positioning locked down, you will die a lot less, leading to you being alive more and more active in team fights. I guess my kind of mini moment there has inspired me to talk about res, as there's a lot of fun things and actually facts that you can do with res that you can apply. However, it might be that you're dying a lot during res, or in fact you might be being too safe with your res. Let's talk about it. If you're dying a lot when you're res, it might be worth looking at and seeing if the res is too risky, or if you should have performed it in a safer way. For example, using natural cover instead of being out in the open. It's about weighing up and making sure that you're going to survive the res, as you never ever want to trade your life for a res. If you feel like you're not doing too many reses, then it might be looking at these opportunities and once again making sure that you're using cover or even team's resources to get off some slightly more riskier reses. It is also about when to res, as you never ever want to let your teammate die while you go to res. You should always look and try to make sure that your team is safe before you go to do a res, so everyone can stay alive while you do so, which can be done through a team chat or a ping, just to kind of let your team know, hey, I'm going to go for a res. At the same time, do not res people if the team fight has been lost, as you'll just be staggering whoever you just resed. And then finally as well, do not super jump res. Only use the super jump res to be able to get yourself to some more better natural cover. Don't be kind of like just using it just to look pretty, essentially. But I'll do a whole video on that because it's one of my biggest pet peeves. I could go on and on about res, when to res, when not to res, how to res, but I'll leave that all for another big video. But I know if you're struggling for your res, I would definitely recommend picking it as a goal, since it's basically kind of Mercy's biggest part of her kit. Valk, even though it's not as powerful as a lot of other support ults, is still so much stronger than many DPS and tank ults. However, many players struggle when and why and how you should Valk. Maybe it's about when to Valk, as it does depend on your rank a tiny little bit. You should try to use your Valk to help your team engage or counter the enemy team to allow chain damage boost and try to get an early pick-off to collapse the enemy team. It's just making sure that you look to see if the team fight is winnable, as you don't want to, just pop Valk while the majority of your team is dead, essentially. In higher ranks, Valk is mainly used more for self-survival, as well as getting off some risky reses, since it's a lot less impactful in the lower ranks compared to higher ones. It might be also how to Valk, like when to push damage boost, making sure that you still have your beam on the centre of your team to get the max amount of damage boost possible, yet still playing cover to make sure that you yourself are not getting picked off as well. Aim and Mercy are probably two things that do not get said in the same sentence a lot, but there are reasons why I've decided to put basically these two little mini goals as Mercy in this section. The first is getting better with Mercy's pistol. Sometimes in a team fight, it can be turned or carried by literally just getting a pick off with your pistol as Mercy. Look for people who will be weak and isolated to go and pick them off. It works better in Valk, as you can see health bars, and if the person you are main blue beam gets picked off in a 1v1, don't be afraid to try and finish whoever they were 1v1ing off, as it can also mean that you get a free res off because of it. Overall, you can get very many good turnarounds, just know when you need to back off also. The second one is actually just to get better with your aim in general. As of recording this video, Mercy is still playable, but is not in the best spot, with people like Juno and Kiriko, both aim heroes, being really good right now. So if you can, try to pick them up also and learn to aim with them, not only improving your Mercy aim, but also just improving your kind of general aim, I guess, on other characters as well. It means as well you can be a little bit more flexible and you're not just relying on your Mercy all the time. Overall, I feel like aim is one of them things that a lot of Mercy just forget about, but it's so beneficial to get those pick-offs in order to change a team fight. Game sense is something that is developed over time, especially if you are kind of very new to the game, so don't worry too much if you're struggling with your game sense at the moment. But it's one of the biggest reasons why some Mercy players, as well as, just players in general, will struggle to climb. This can be split into kind of like 4 different goals, but 2 of these are very similar. The first of these is knowing how your team is going to play. Every single Overwatch hero plays differently, so it's about knowing their cooldowns, when they'll use them, where they position, where they'll engage, as well as whereabouts they're going to be ahead of time, just so you can be proactive rather than reactive to what they're going to do. The second is essentially doing the exact same, but for the enemy team, as if you're being proactive, you'll know how to play in position and save your GAs for certain ults, as well as being back and out of the way for others. Both of these 2 points I'm going to do a full guide on for every single hero, but how to play kind of with and against, as well as some top tips for each. That I'll be going onto my TikTok as a breakdown of each character, as well as categorizing them for YouTube videos also. The next one is ult tracking, which is something I'll do a full guide on at some point, but it's extremely important for survivability as Mercy. If you can predict an ult is going to happen, you can use Valk, or you can even save Valk to ensure it's not wasted. It can also help you be more proactive with your positioning also. Finally, with game sense, don't just play the game like you normally would, but play like you want to improve. Be constantly thinking if the decision made was a good one or not. If it was good, then great. But if it wasn't, what did you do wrong and why? That is the way that you are able to kind of rectify your mistakes and basically improve as Mercy. Overall, I would say even if you feel like this isn't one of your main goals, I would still set it anyways, as it's something that everyone can improve upon, and basically it will just drastically improve your Mercy if you know what is going to happen ahead of time. Hopefully this helped provide you guys with some ideas of what to set yourself out as a goal in the new year. And if you do, let me know down in the comments. But as a really big thing, just make sure it's something that is fun, as it will make it a lot easier for you to achieve in the long run. Now, if you do feel a little bit overwhelmed, you don't really know what to do, I also do free Mercy VOD reviews over on my Twitch channel. They are completely for free, and you simply just have to spend channel points, which you earn by just watching the stream. I usually give about 2 to 3 goals to work on at the end as a great starting point, as well as I also point out whatever strengths you've got as a Mercy player also. This is finally just my sort of like self-promo bit. But if you are interested in following any of my content, I do have 2 YouTube channels. This is the main one where I post all my gameplay, as well as my future educational videos will also be posted on here. I also have my VOD review channel, which I'll have on screen right now, where essentially I do all my Mercy VOD reviews and I upload them onto there for people to look back on, as well as other people to have a look at as well. There is my Twitch, where I basically record everything live, so if you're interested in watching me live, as well as asking me questions in real time, you're more than welcome to go and follow me on there. As well as my TikTok, I try to post a video on there every single day, usually educational ones, however sometimes there's nice little montagey ones in there as well, so if you are interested in any of that as well, there is my TikTok. And finally, the Discord as well. I'm trying to plug the Discord a little bit more. All of that will be linked down in the description if you are interested in following me anymore. And with all that said, I've got my 2025 goals. Have you got yours? Thank you for watching, everyone, and have a lovely rest of your day.
Living life every day, late at night, not okay. All I want, and I pray, all I need are some better days. Fuck me, I'm looking in the mirror, so foggy, but I've never seen clearer. I don't really think anyone can save me, and honestly I'm not really sure I want saving. I like to be my own worst enemy.